social distancing is one of the main vocabulary now, or stay at home is another vocabulary or slogan. Every country, every person is telling you, stay at home, stay safe. But there are some ongoing discussion, and sometimes the concept of human rights is brought up with the orders of people told to stay at home and how they're going to impose that one. And that is both in Western world, like in America, and the developing countries, especially in Africa. We have seen some people, or some countries, go in an extremely way to use force, telling people to stay at home, curfew from certain time, or don't go to work at all. So, the concept of human rights, the concept of staying safe, and overall, how can we be able to fight this pandemic? Welcome everyone, this is Ernest Boniface Makulilo EBM, and I'm going just to share my opinion on certain things, and especially in developing countries, how can we stay safe a little bit compared to this situation. So, number one, people have to know that there is a very big difference between first world versus developing countries. And the difference is based on overall lifestyle. In America or in Western world, the typical mode of operation is highly level of capitalism. Individualism is the highest level. Yes, people go hang out, do things together, whatever, but it's overall individual. You cannot just show up to your neighbor. You cannot just take your kids and just talk to your aunt, whatever, stay with my kid, all those kind of life. So most of the life is individual. And most of the life is indoor. Even if there is no pandemic, there is no corona, there is nothing at all, just go outside out to your neighborhood. Most of the areas, I'm not talking about the big New York City, Chicago, or those kind of big city. Just in a normal neighborhood, if you go outside during the day, you don't see anybody. That is the normal life here. The houses, the homes are built in that situation. That means someone can stay at home, even there is no problem, even for a week. When I came to America at the beginning, that was one of my big challenge. How can I agree to stay inside just in a normal life, because I'm used to the life of Africa where it is outdoor life. But after some time, I get used to. And even now, I have no problem unless otherwise I have something to go out. I can stay for 1 week, even without opening the front door, or maybe I can just go to get my mail and put them inside. That's all. But otherwise, I can stay inside because the homes are equipped that way. Secondly, the life is individual. I don't just go there and just walk. I don't have a schedule, whatever, and just walking and going and stay and start talking to other people. I cannot do that. So, and again, the houses, I say, they are built to accommodate that kind of lifestyle. The infrastructure is built to is supporting that lifestyle. You have a full-time 24/7 electricity, air conditioning, AC, whatever, the heater. No matter what kind of weather, you can be able to contain and sustain and stay in your house inside. So that is number one. But when it comes to developing countries, that's not the case. The life is outdoor. Some of the people, they have very, very small rooms, small houses. They are not built to have, I can go to the bathroom inside the house, I can be inside the house and do everything even without getting out. It's not that way. And again, people are used to go to the neighbor, to go to the market, to talk and share, whatever. So overall lifestyle is outdoor. So when we are implementing about to stay at home in Western countries, lockdown in Western countries, in my opinion, it is much easier to implement in that way, because if you say stay at home, for me it's easy. The lifestyle allows someone to stay at home, to work from home. It allows, I have full high-speed internet. I have everything I want. I can just order something and they can bring me at home. Lifestyle allows that kind of situation. But in Africa, apart from few people who have better houses, better neighborhood, you can go to some people, they live in the slum. In Kibera, for instance, How are you going to implement that kind of situation, staying inside? Someone is just having one room and they say 3 people or 4 people. Electricity sometimes is not all the time. So there is that kind of thing. That's number one. So, but we have a problem here. The pandemic is there. The coronavirus is there. How are we going to beat it? One of the ways to beat it is medical professionals, how they are going to explain the procedures about social distancing, which is difficult for many people in Africa because we are used to hug, talk, dance, go whatever. All these social gatherings, when there is a funeral, we're just there. When there is a wedding, it's just there. When there is Christmas, is there. When we have birthday party, we are there. So that is the lifestyle. So can we be able to implement? So we have seen some of the countries, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, and a few other African countries, they have implemented what they call lockdown or curfew from what time to what time. It is working to some places, sometimes it doesn't work. Now we have seen some forces, people are really severely beaten. We have seen also in India. So all those kind of things, there are mixed discussion. Should we go ahead and condemn human rights violations? Or should we really talk about the pandemic? In my opinion, I see one of the big problems is we haven't really explained about pandemic, what is coronavirus, how someone gets it, how can we prevent it, just for education purposes. So for that case, if we are not doing that, what most of the media media is doing is just we don't trust the professionals. And I like, there is one, it's just like these memes, whatever people posted, someone posted that the problem of coronavirus is entering in Africa where everybody is a journalist. The problem we are having in Africa, we don't trust the professionals. There are so many medical professionals or doctors, whatever, people who have knowledge about this one, but we don't go to interview them. We don't get education from those people. We end up taking everything politician is saying that this is about this disease. We are going to end up listening to everybody in the media, whatever they say, but those people in the media, they didn't start anything related to these kind of diseases or these kind of viruses. Why can't we trust, first of all, the professionals to talk about it? Because, for instance, do we need to wear a mask? Professionals have been explaining, some in countries, that the mask you need to wear only if you are taking care of someone who is sick or yourself you are sick. But do we have that kind of education in many countries in Africa? Because someone is just alone at home, boom, a mask. So where are you running away from? Like you are putting a mask, you are alone with your family and everybody is not sick. So we need to have all this kind of education, and not every mask can be able to fight corona. There are specific kind of mask you can be able to do that. But again, how long can you wear that mask? How many people are able to change the mask after every 3-4 hours? Because the mask, if it's there, and you are going out all the time, and you touch yourself, the contamination comes to the mask, and you have the mask the whole day, you are going to be in a very risky situation than a person who doesn't have a mask at all. So there are certain things which I want to give like advice to African countries. Number one, let's educate people. What is this pandemic? How does this operate? Because sometimes you might be, I don't want to say like, yes, it is a very deadly disease, but sometimes you can go and get caught up into this disease and we forget about malaria. Because if you look like how many people possibly might contain this one, possibly will die with this one in Africa, versus how many millions of people are dying with malaria in Africa. Over 500,000 people are dying, or 5 million sometimes, whatever, in Africa. How many people die when women are going to deliver babies, newborn? How many women die? So there are also some other things. So when we are going to this one, let's use education, number one, so that people can use just, instead of using force, beating people, stay at home. Tell the person why it is important to stay at home in a medical professional understanding and put in a layman language. Okay, if you go out, this is what is going to happen, instead of just putting a police and start beating people. Because that doesn't help, because someone will be staying at home but can be talking to the neighbor, touching hands and all other things, but you haven't solved the problem. The problem number one is people to understand deeper this. How is it? How does it, you get contaminated? How are you going to transfer to take one disease to another person? So there are so many things people have to understand. But also, how are we going to convince people? Like, yes, our African life is a little bit different, but we can implement the system of lockdown. We can implement curfew in this way, modified version in our context, because you cannot tell everybody in Kibera stay inside the house while people they live in the slums. You have to find a way on how we can be able to tell people, even if they had a situation, they know this is a temporary situation, and how can we be able to survive this one. But while we are doing this one, again, people have to continue understanding there are other deadly diseases in Africa. Not just because all Western media, they are talking about the virus and how it's affecting Italy, how it's affecting Spain, how it's affecting the United States. And then we take every data like the same way we put there. But at the same time, how many people are affected by dengue, cholera, malaria in Africa? That's something else to consider. Because up to now, for instance, as we are talking today, I'm making this video, how many deaths we have in America is 1,000 and maybe 700 or whatever number so far. It is less than 2,000. But in case you didn't know, in the year 2019, there were 37 or 38,000 people died because of just the normal flu in America. The year 2017, there were 61,000 deaths due to influenza. So we have to know that there are other diseases we are there. So while we are fighting corona, which is a very, very bad, complicated, nasty thing, let's also take measures to other diseases. We can be able to take the same precaution, washing hands, social distancing. Let's take the same way, a little bit staying at home, take all these ways to become our daily norm. Some of the many countries in Africa are not equipped of working from home. So you can give the order, everybody work from home, but which internet are you giving people? Not every job requires internet in Africa. Most of the work is not on the computer. Most of the work, people are using hard files. The website don't work. Like people can apply something from home, whatever, and you can process it. It's not that kind of lifestyle. So this is supposed to be as a lesson. How can we, after this situation, we can equip our African countries, our developing countries into the modern way of doing certain things? Do we need to do everything for the rest of our life in analog, into hard copies stuff, or should we modify these kind of things to make sure that we are in a situation where we can be able to do also some other things? If any other problem comes along the way, we can be able to work from home, we can be able to do from a little bit distance. So this is something people have to consider. Like, apart whether we beat this one right now or it will take a month, but this will be another lesson. How are we, each office, to think about each as a government, as people people owning a company? How are you going to distribute your work? Are you going to put your work in such a way that if something comes up like this one, someone can be able to work from home? Someone can be able to study as a student, like at least 1-2 hours from home. Can you give assignment and expect someone to submit the work from home? Do they have computer? Do you have this one? So it is a very big thing. It's just like an open discussion. But overall, we need to understand that this one is something new. Everybody is struggling. It doesn't matter whether you are first world. It doesn't matter whether you are whatever developing country. And we used to have the thinking that, oh, black people don't get sick, or black people don't die, African, whatever. Forget about this disease. Doesn't care your color. This disease doesn't care whatever. It's just there. So let's respect professional medical doctors. Please take your chance in Africa. Go to the media and give education. Don't let just any media person is just going to take a picture about WHO and is just going to interpret. No, let professionals interpret medical things as professionals. Don't just go and hear something in a medical, and because you are journalists, you are going to talk. You are going to make people getting more scared instead of people to understand in how they can be able to beat this disease. That's what I can be able to explain to you about social distancing. There is the issue of human rights. Here, when they say lockdown, I've been here since March 13. I'm working from home. I'm staying at home. I've been out like 2-3 times because I went just to do some running outside. Yes, you can be able to go out, but it's different from I'm just going to hang out. I'm going to McDonald's and just chill there. I'm going to Starbucks and just start to have my coffee. No, you need to have a reason why you want to go somewhere. So there are certain things we need to be very careful. This is to protect ourselves, to protect the people we love, protect our neighbors, to protect our countries. Because if you get sick and you are going to visit your grandmother, you are exposing your grandmother. As you know, older people with immune system not that very strong, you are putting them in danger. So this is about, I know you can say Africa, we cannot implement this one because how can we live? We don't have food for 5 days. You can have food for 2 days and then you can go back to the market. You need to follow the procedures. You need to follow the instructions. You are being indicated to do that. Yes, things will be nasty, but let's beat this disease so that we can be able to survive. We need to survive. We don't need it to be careless and causing chaos and causing anything. And forget about these jokes about, oh, black people don't get sick, oh, black people cannot whatever. This is just a disease for Western people. It's man-made. Forget about man-made, natural, whatever. It's a disease there. These are the procedures. Stay at home. Unless otherwise you have something very important to go to do something. Don't go to the club. Don't go to the bar. Do things, most of the things at home with your family. Thank you so much, everyone.